Okay, well, first, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us. To be honest with you, as I mentioned in my email, we were so overwhelmed by the level of interest of people wanting to get into this industry. It certainly is an exciting industry, and hopefully through this webinar, you'll be able to um, see a little bit more about what we're about, what being a business broker is about, and whether or not it fits into your long-term plans for your career. So to begin with, my name is Ed Mysogland. I've been with the firm for 24 years. I handle all of the business valuation and equipment appraisal work that gets done through the office. But most importantly, for the last 20 years, I've been serving as the managing partner, as well as the trainer for everyone that has come through the office. So, so I can tell you that we don't have a great deal of turnover with business brokers. We are, like I said, well, I'll tell you in a second, but I think the biggest thing is we don't have a lot of turnover of brokers. So we are fairly selective in who joins the firm because we want ultimately the broker to be successful. So who we are the largest business brokerage in Indiana. We are affiliated with the Sunbelt National Network. We own the state of Indiana as a Sunbelt franchisee, even though we brand as Indiana Business Advisors. Here in the office, and I will send you a link to my recent blog post about the composition of our team, where it illustrates the various backgrounds. So you can see that there is no one particular type of individual that makes a successful broker. So, but our average broker has about 10 years of experience here in the industry. We're a generalist practice, and all that means is, we have some guys that specialize. Like for instance, Larry Battershell is a nationally known expert in food and beverage, and that's all he's done for 26 years or so. Conversely, we have guys that seem to specialize in manufacturing, some service, some online businesses, and everything in between. So we're, like I mentioned in the introduction, we're one of the few brokerages with a credentialed appraiser, which is me. We do an awful lot of business valuation work out of here, just simply because over the years we've seen that business brokers, or that the success of a sale gets up to about 85 to 90% if a business valuation has been done. And the biggest thing, like you see all around it, it's about information and transparency. And what we're trying to do is educate our sellers and let them know, this is how the market's going to look at your business. Now, you may not like it, but ultimately, when we take it to the market, regardless of what I say or regardless of what the seller says, the market tells us what the value is. So, like I said, we're also a member of the International Business Brokers Association, the M&A Source, preferred vendor of the Indiana Manufacturers Association, and then, just by virtue of being around 33 years, we have, some exclusive broker arrangements with several accounting and law firms here in the city as well as the state. So the opportunity, business brokerage, we have, like you see, that there's four general sections of the brokerage. You have the small, what we call the Main Street division. We have, which is anything south of $1 million. You have the mergers and acquisitions, which is what we would consider north of $1 million. You have franchise sales as well as resales. And then lastly, related transaction services, which are more geared toward valuation and things like that. Okay, what we're looking for, and I guess you need to kind of look to yourself to see whether or not this fits. What we found is that people that are successful in this business have a desire to make a lot of money. There's also a desire to serve the small business owner. A lot of the times you need to remember that these small business owners are not very sophisticated. So they are looking to folks like us to coach them through a somewhat emotional transaction. It's a financial but also an emotional um, emotional type interaction between our clients. We're also looking for when I say education, I'm looking. You don't have to have lots of degrees and lots of initials after your name. You just have to have a desire to learn, because there each and every deal there's something to learn through the just the business, just the various pitfalls, the various success and failures throughout the transaction process. In fact, we often say, if a deal doesn't die at least twice before closing, we haven't earned our fee. So you learn an awful lot. The next thing is strong work ethic. Like anything, I mean, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. The next thing is staying power, and I'll talk a little bit to that here in just a minute or two. But we there's an old saying that you can't gamble on scared money, and so we look at brokers, and and I'll talk about it a little bit in depth here in a minute, but we want to make sure that you have enough of a cushion, that you have some staying power in the business, because there could be some valleys that you have to walk through in order to get to the peak of business brokerage. Probably what I think the next two things, what I perceive as the most important thing, is you just generally have to be a nice person, and a team player. I mean, I know that sounds just kind of simplistic, but it really is important, because the emotional beatings you take here in business brokerage, because you don't have control of so many attributes of what's going on between buyer, seller, accountant, attorney on both sides, banker, financial planner, insurance people, all these people that have a say in whether or not your deal is going to go through. And so there is an emotional component to the business brokerage. So, being in a environment where you like the guys, and you can understand the trials and tribulations that each other is going through is helpful. Okay, so what is business brokerage? It's about bringing buyers and sellers of businesses together. It's about understanding. We look at our sellers as our clients and our buyers as our customers. And so when we do so, we have to understand what our customer is looking for. So we spend a great deal of time with buyers, understanding what their motivations are of getting into business. And I'll be totally transparent with you that we talk more buyers out of business than into business, because at the end of the day, we are selling an opportunity, and we want that buyer to be successful. And we've had over 1,700 transactions in our existence, and very few have gone bad, and we attribute it to that we go through the painstaking process of educating our buyers of what they're getting into, and that you're not only CEO, but you're also head janitor. And oh, by the way, that insurance and pension and 401k and all the other things that you're used to getting, that may not happen. So again, we take a great deal of time to make sure that we educate our buyers in order that they understand what they're getting into. And then again, we assist buyers and sellers, and there's all kinds of what we're assisting them in, whether it be financing packages, legal, value. So we're doing a great deal of assisting just throughout the process. We as a brokerage, we streamline the business sale process. And I talk about this in training, is that when we when excuse me, when we go through the process, you have to understand that the buyer and seller, it's an emotional thing. So the buyer is looking at paying the least amount, the seller's looking at getting the greatest amount. And as a result, there's an emotional component that if you let the two parties together, chances are it's not going to go together because of just the sensitivity of the seller, of the buyer perceiving that the buyer lowering, negotiating the best price for him or her. The seller's taking it as saying, you know what, you're calling my baby ugly. And we have, and again, and that's where we fit in, where we take the emotional component out of that whole process. And then next, we anymore, there's an analytical component to business brokerage, where, and as you're seeing out there, that there's so much more information than it was 24 years ago when I got into the business. And what we're seeing is that the analytics is I don't want to say superior, but I'm a numbers guy, so I say it is superior, that the numbers have to work. There is an emotional component of, you know what, I'll buy this business because I can do it better. But at the same time, there is that component that we have to make the numbers work, because there are so many other alternative investments that somebody can park their money in. So we need to understand the seller's situation, not only from an aggregate value standpoint, but what is their tax consequences? What's next steps for them? Are they getting totally out of business, or are they just selling this one to move on to another? So we work really hard to get to know our clients in order to help them accomplish their goals. Okay, next, is a profession for you? This is an independent contractor relationship here in the office. So you would not be an employee. We would enter into an independent contractor's agreement. You set your own hours. There's certain guidelines that the office has for you, but you don't have to come. I have guys that don't show up to meetings. I have guys that are here every single day from 8 to 6. I've got people showing up all hours of the day. It's your schedule. So again, there is that's the way we've always operated. So it's an independent contractor, and I've put a link here to the IRS website that defines what an independent contractor is, should you wish to review it. Okay, so again, back to, is this profession for you? We look at it from this standpoint. This is an all commission job, 100%. So we like to tell our clients that, look, or our brokers, that you need to understand that you need to have some level of cushion. We also see our brokers when they have deals that are in process, that they take their foot off the gas in the marketing that got them all the business to begin with. So it is it's an interesting business to be in, but we suggest that you need 6 months of runway in order to effectively get started here in the brokerage. So now what we provide, we provide the office, the infrastructure, the support staff, marketing and collateral material. I put online and traditional, but I meant online and traditional advertising. So we'll do all that. Now, what we expect out of you, and let me be clear, we're a little bit different in that we help fund the broker's efforts. For instance, we will front the money and put it onto an accounts receivable for brokers to do their own marketing. In addition, we have a great deal of pay-per-click, telemarketing, direct mail. We have something called the sellability score that's out, and we're working with it now. And so we'll be furnishing leads. And for us to do that, we typically charge a 10% on just a 10% override on that sell side commission, should that lead pan out. But if the lead doesn't pan out, nothing is owed. So there's really no out-of-pocket expense that the broker has. And if there is, then we typically make arrangements at the time of closing to take a portion of what's owed to be paid back to the office. And by the way, should you have any questions as we're going through, certainly just put it in the chat box, and I'll be happy to address it. Okay, do you have sales experience? Is it necessary? No, it's preferable. But again, a lot of times that we're seeing that, sales is correlated to the work ethic. And as I mentioned to you, that there's a great deal of the analytics that sells the opportunities for you. So from our standpoint, we would prefer that you had sales experience. Commission, all commission experience would be even better. But again, it's not mandatory. But somebody that's willing to get down and work their tail off is certainly a must. All right, let's start the commissions or the frequently asked questions. So what is our commission split? For our advance fees or retainers, the broker keeps 60% of the retainers collected. And then we have an escalating brokerage commission. So we have, as you can see, up to $100,000 in 1099 earnings, it's 55-45. After the first 100, from 100 to 200, you get 60%. 200 to 3 is 65, and then 300 and up, it's 70. So the next question is, has anybody ever made it to 300,000? And the answer is yes. The transaction, and then the transaction participants on the sell side it's a 55-45 split, of which the listing or the listing broker, the one who obtains the engagement, receives 60% versus the buy side, which receives 40% of the 55%. Is this selling real estate? No. Although we will sell real estate if it is part of the business opportunity. We don't just sell commercial real estate to sell commercial real estate. There are guys here in the office that are licensed, and there are guys that are not. We will not pay a real estate commission to any unlicensed broker. We have a educational program that we will fund a broker to get licensed. So, but is there a license to sell businesses? No. Do you require a license to sell real estate? Absolutely. So there is, like I said, there's no license to be in the business brokerage industry, although, with any luck, someday there will, because I believe that will do nothing but help this industry. So again, if you're coming into the business and you're worried about your real estate license, I wouldn't let it slow you down, because, as I said, we have the ability to help in getting you licensed. All right. Can you do this part-time? No. And like I put here, it's hard to put our full-time effort into your part-time career. Now, at the same time, I want you to understand that a lot of the guys that are here in the office are entrepreneurs by nature. Most have other business interests, and we understand that. I mean, it's it's the nature of what we do. Um, so we understand that there are times where other business interests have to be the focus, but if it becomes a distraction or you're unable to effectively service the clients for which you have a fiduciary responsibility, in that case we will probably have to part ways. But the long answer to the short question is no, we're not looking for part-time folks. Is there a demand? Yeah, I mean, you probably have seen the news. You've seen all kinds of propaganda that baby boomers are retiring, and there's so much work to be had. Well, it is, and it is happening. We're seeing increases in you know, sell side interaction of, you know, the planning of the eventual exit of the business. We are seeing an awful lot from exit planners. So yeah, we see that there is an awful lot of demand out there. This stat of 10% of businesses at any given time are for sale, that I, I've read that. I've also heard that at least in Indiana, that 87% of the businesses that sell don't have professional representation. I can't remember where I got that, but I did get a little weak in the knees to learn that, holy moly, that just makes this an unbelievable opportunity to go out and serve. And then, you know, there especially here in Indiana, there's not a I don't think that there are enough business brokers. And I say that because when our guys are out knocking on doors, we seldom plow into that we're competing with another organization to win the engagement. So that suggests to me that there is certainly a demand for other folks to get into the business. So how much do you have to pay to join the firm? Nothing. You have no expense. We yeah, and I was kind of surprised to get this number or get this question, but some of my colleagues indicated that especially in real estate firms that you do have to pay to join. So the next question was, you know, I know that you're in Indianapolis, but I am not. How will it work? Well, we'll talk about training here in a minute, but you know, modern technology certainly helps us. We have a guy in Muncie, Lafayette, and Bloomington. We utilize we're a Google shop, so we utilize the Google Business Suite or Google Work Suite, as well as GoToMeeting, Skype. So we're able to do an awful lot, you know, utilizing that. At the same time, you know, there are its downfalls just by not being here within the four walls. So if you're out of town, we certainly suggest periodically coming down and being here at the office, just because it gives you the feel of, you know, the environment and camaraderie and all those things that makes a successful office a successful office. How much can you realistically make? And I get this all the time, that it really is totally up to you. But I can tell you, and I'm being as transparent as I can because I don't want you to waste your time or ours, that it is even for the most seasoned veteran, it is a tough business to be in. But at the same time, those that work at it and utilize the system and are sending out their letters, are making their calls, are touching the circles of influence, are taking opportunities to speak to organizations. Those things generate consistent business. I can tell you our practice is about 80% referral, 20% advertising and pay-per-click. And it's just by virtue of how long we've been doing it. But my point is that it takes effort to cultivate those referral relationships. So as like any other organization, somebody has to know, like, and trust you. And we're no different. When you're selling someone's largest asset, and that chances are it probably is, they have to know you. You have to have endorsement from professional advisors. When all those things are working together, when I say it's literally up to you how much you want to make, it literally is. Most of the time that the guys here that don't achieve their financial goals, we can attribute it to taking their foot off the gas or not doing what they needed to do to realize it. And it happens to everybody, where you get tied up in a deal and you take your foot off the marketing gas, and regretfully, it takes a couple months to get it back up. The next question was, do I have to have liability insurance? The answer is no. We maintain errors and omissions insurance, and the premiums are of no cost to you. That's part of what we pay. So now, what is our training program? Our training program typically is for a couple weeks. We have reduced it into 1 week when necessary. There's been other times that we've elongated it based on people's schedules. As I said, we don't turn over a great deal. Most of the brokers that are here now are as a result of referrals, not by how you guys are on this webinar, seeing an ad. So what we will probably do is toward the end of September or the 1st of October, we'll probably put together a training schedule depending on how many candidates we're going to take through training. So we either, like I said, here we're at a couple weeks, but that can either be reduced or elongated depending on the schedule of everybody that's participating. There's also on-site, meaning here, as well as home study. There's videos and DVDs and all kinds of other stuff that kind of augment my training program. And then lastly, and this is probably the most important thing, is that we have on-the-job mentors. I can tell you that I can teach you the mechanics. I can teach you how to recast financial statements. I can teach you how to totally understand business brokerage. And to be honest with you, I'm that guy. But at the same time, until you're out on the job with one of the guys and you see the fluidity of the conversation and you hear and feel the excitement of the buyer, or perhaps the challenge that the seller is experiencing. I can't teach that. Only going out and being in that environment does this complete your training. Following your training, and again, chances are you'll partner with one of the other brokers for a period of time. But in addition to that, once a week, you and I will sit down, and either we'll do it in person or we will do it electronically, either GoToMeeting, Skype, or Google Hangouts, and we'll just talk about what's going on, how you're doing, and how we can help you. And we have a guy up in Lafayette, and it's a little bit different of a market than it is here in Indianapolis, and he said, this is what I'd like to do. Can you help me? Can you help me get in touch with all of these people, because that would help me. And it wouldn't work down here, but it certainly worked up in Lafayette. So again, those are the four things. We've got the intensive training, the on-site and home study, the mentorship, and then lastly that I didn't put on the continued follow-up. And the last thing on top of the last thing was, we provide every broker here $500 per year, and that $500 can be applied to continuing education. It could be applied to membership. For example, some folks want to join BEI, some want to have joined Rotary, the Indianapolis Economic Club, things like that. And our intent is, again, we want you to grow in the circle that you want to serve. And so that's why we've done it, and we've done it for 20 years. That we want to, if you want to serve the Rotarians, well, God bless you, we're going to help you do that. And our only condition is that you do it, that you show up to meetings and you make yourself available to those people. Okay, next steps. If you want to take the next step and send me a resume or fax me a resume, you'll see all of my contact information here when I'm going to turn around and send you the link to this recording. I say send me the resume and CV, and or CV to my email address, just simply because I want to know a little bit about your background. It's not a deal killer for us by any means. I think if anything, it has more to do with, hey, these are some of the things that we're looking for, or perhaps these are the people that we have connections to. How can we, is there a fit there? So I would like to see your resume and CV, or if you want to come and visit, drop me a note and let me know some available times, and we'll put that on the calendar, and we can talk through this. My partners, Dick Hester, Larry Metzing, and Brian Noter, are probably going to join me for the next round of visits. So those are the next steps. If you have any questions, I think I've answered pretty much everything that's come through the chat box. If you have anything else, I'll wait just a minute, and if not, I'm going to go ahead and conclude our recording. And assuming that nothing comes through, I'll just take one more minute and say, I am, when I say I was totally overwhelmed, I am. But at the same time, I am so stoked that you're interested in business brokerage, because I can tell you that this is probably the best industry to serve, and I think it's the next 10 years are going to be phenomenal here in Indiana. I think that it allows you to be the entrepreneur that you want to be. You have the flexibility to make the kids whatever the kids thing you may need to make. Unlimited revenue generation. I just think, from that standpoint, I think it's an unbelievable time for you to be taking these steps, and I am so excited to visit with each one of you. All right, I got one more question. I've always been self-employed and have never had a resume. Can I put a profile together? You got it, buddy. To be honest with you, like I said, I walked out of Butler University into this place. I don't have a resume either. So yeah, just let me know what you've been up to. In fact, if the other thing you may want to do is send me if you're on LinkedIn, send me a LinkedIn invite, and we can connect that way. And that may save you a little bit of time, especially like this fella here that has been self-employed all his life. So, is there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to have talked with you guys. And if you have any questions, seriously, totally open door policy. Just drop me a note, and I'll be happy to do what I can to get you the answer you need. Thanks so much for being here, and look forward to these next steps.